show you how to do a really easy and amazing recipe for traditional yemista, but that's not so traditional. Today I'm gonna make yemista with filet of sole and rice instead of vegan or ground beef. So to start us off, basically what we're gonna do is just start adding things to our food processor to chop them up. For example, I'm just gonna take an onion and basically quarter it, throw it in there. Next, 2 cloves of garlic are gonna go in. We're also gonna take the equivalent of about 2 teaspoons of dried mint in this. We're gonna take a small bunch of parsley and a small bunch of dill that's gonna go in as well. Whether you use curly or you use the flat leaf, it doesn't matter. It's the flavor profile we're after. A little bit of salt, maybe a teaspoon or 2. A little bit of fresh cracked black pepper will go in as well. About 3 or 4 tablespoons of Greek extra virgin olive oil will go in as well. Give us a little bit of lube in there. Perfect. I'm also using 14 ounces of crushed tomatoes. In this case, I'm gonna put about 1/3 of my crushed tomatoes into our food processor, and the rest we're gonna use as a topping on top as a braising liquid. So now that our herbs and our spices are all added into our food processor, I'm just gonna quickly just pulse this. You don't want anything too fine at this point. We wanna start the chopping process, but not finish it. What I'm gonna do next is I've got 4 filet of sole here, and literally I'm just gonna tear them up, nothing complicated at all, and throw them in there. And just start pulsing this. And that's pretty much perfect right there. We want a nice kind of chunky consistency, almost like a salsa. So I'm gonna take this now, and let me just get this out of the way. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place this mixture into our mixing bowl. That's perfect, just like that. I'm going to take 1.5 cups of rice and pour it into our bowl as well, and just slowly start hand mixing this. So for today's recipe, I'm using the sweet red peppers, the long ones, and I'm going to use also some quartered potatoes as a accompaniment in the pan. So there you go. This is pretty well our stuffing or our filling all ready to go. I'm going to just move this out of the way and bring up our pan here. While we're working here on our peppers and stuffing them and all that, preheat your oven right now to about 400 degrees Fahrenheit or about 200 degrees Celsius. Get that off and going, because once that's done, it's ready for us rather than us waiting for it. So now I'm using a just standard 12-13 inch round pan. Very simple, nothing to this. I'm also going to be using our peppers here, and I'm just going to take a little bit of this and slowly just start stuffing these as much as they'll take without overstuffing them. You don't want to go too crazy, because remember, the rice will expand. So there's 1 pepper there. And for today's recipe, I've got 5 peppers, so 5 people or a couple of hungry Greeks. The next part of this recipe is adding some quartered potatoes. This is a very, very traditional way of making this dish, as adding a starch to a starch, because that's how Greeks do it. So this is our pan almost ready to go. The next part of this, and it's pretty important, is you take a knife with a sharp point. And the reason is, you take your peppers and you start piercing them just like that. Nothing fancy. And the reason you're doing this basically is to allow the heat and the moisture to penetrate in the pepper, so that way it cooks the rice and steams it, and you don't have anything raw inside your peppers. Now, you want to basically just poke or pierce your peppers. You don't want to stab them like they owe you money. That's not what we're doing here. It's very simple. So now that that's done, the next part is we go back and remember the 2/3 of our crushed tomatoes. Well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add our crushed tomatoes to our mixing bowl. We're gonna add just a little bit of water, maybe a cup of water maximum, and this in essence will become our braising liquid for our dish. And one more time, a little bit of salt. A little bit of salt goes into this. A little bit of fresh cracked black pepper, just for a little bit of seasoning. And of course, another few tablespoons of our Greek extra virgin olive oil will go into this as well. Now for this, our cooking time is going to be approximately 90 minutes. An hour of that is going to be covered, and in this case, I'm going to cover my pan with aluminum foil. And you're going to cover this up and put it in our 400-degree oven for about an hour. And then for the last half hour of baking, we're going to very simply remove the aluminum foil and just let this go until it's actually done. And that's all there is. That's all to this version of yemista with fish instead of ground beef or vegan. So I'll see you back here in about an hour and a half or so, and we'll see how this thing turned out. Alrighty, so here we have it, our finished filet of sole yemista. It's actually done perfectly. Actually, if you can see here, you can see where actually I've overstuffed the peppers. That's why it's not a good idea. They tore, but it really doesn't matter. That's fine. We're still gonna enjoy them no matter what. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate your time. Please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and more importantly than anything else, share these recipes, make these recipes. Share the gift of gourmet or the gift of simple deliciousness. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.